Today's a great day to draw. In this video, I'm going to be redrawing this old sketch from 2022 and just showing you my process for giving myself self-critique and showing you how I improve upon an old sketch like this. So here is a time-lapse version of the redraw. This was a sketch I did in 2022, like I said, of this knight with dreadlocks, and I wanted him to have like this, I guess, red cloak, and some armor. But to improve upon this design, I decided I wanted to make his armor bigger. I only wanted to draw a portrait of the character. I didn't want to redesign him from head to toe. Just wanted the portrait, and so I'm not worried about all of that. So I'm just redesigning the portrait, and one of the things I wanted to do was make the armor bigger. I wanted to make sure that my proportions were a little bit more accurate or correct, and he just looked more maybe intimidating or powerful or no mature. I wanted him to look a little bit more mature. In the old sketch, I feel like he looks more like a kid, but in this newer sketch, I feel like he looks a little bit more mature, and maybe he's like a young adult or a teenager, uh, 18, 19-year-old. But he looks a little bit older now, looks a little bit more menacing and more powerful than the previous sketch. And that's what I like most about this recent design. So yeah, when you're drawing an old sketch, ask yourself, what specifically do you want to get better at? For me, I wanted to get better at drawing the human head. And so I got to work on my anatomy, my portrait drawing skills. I wanted to get better at the character design. Even though this is just a portrait, I still wanted to improve upon the character design and add more storytelling elements to this. And I did that with the earrings of the character, the armor of the character, and just his dreadlocks in general, right? It's very interesting dreadlocks. I never really seen that before. And so I wanted to create a character like that and just improve on the old sketch idea that I had. And lastly, I just wanted to get better at rendering. And so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to show you how I'm going to render this piece. And the main differences between how I would render it in 2022 and how I would render it right now. And so let's get started. Obviously, you can tell I have like a different style than I did 3 years ago, but to improve upon my design and just my rendering process from 3 years ago, this is how I was coloring. It was a little too dull. I like colors that are more bright and vibrant. Uh, so I want it to be more, so I want to use more vibrant colors. And I know this is just a sketch, but because I want to render this, uh, a newer piece, I'm gonna like blend all the colors better. And so if I was to go back to this drawing now, I'll just do a little bit more rendering and blending in between these shapes here so that I don't have just like big blocks of shapes. I want to do a little bit of rendering so that the colors just look a little bit more natural. Something like that is what I would do. And it looks like I was gonna say I thought I used a multiply, but I didn't. I do like how I try to use some bounce light in the piece, but I didn't execute it as well as I would have wanted to. And so yeah, just doing better with blending these shapes together and not leaving big triangular shapes of color, and instead just like going in and blending those things. And so another way to improve upon this would be to just up the saturation a little bit, make the colors a little bit more vibrant. And that's what I did with this recent sketch, right? And so that's what I'm going to start doing with this one. I'm going to start finishing this up and blending things. And you can see how I'm still using the same rendering concepts and techniques with like bounce light. The flame is going to produce some light on the character's costume. And so you can just use an airbrush or something. Grab that pink color and add that in there. More like a bright pink color. My armor over here and over here as well. Add some lighting. Even in the like gold as well. Maybe down here as well. Just to add some bounce light and some more interesting lighting and color. And so Another option I can do is I can add some bounce lights to the hair, but you might ask like what bounce light would I add to it? I imagine that this character is sitting in like a sunny day environment under the blue sky, and so I'll add like a blue color into this to his hair like that, but not too much because I don't want to drown it in blue. Instead, I want to just do something like that. And so I added blue to it, but it becomes a purplish color, a cool purplish color. If you pay attention to the how the hue changes up here, it goes from this red, dark red color for the shadow in the hair, and changes to a cool blue purplish color, and that will be my bounce light color that I use for the hair. It doesn't have to be all over the place, but just in the areas where I want the light to bounce in the hair. And so that looks pretty good. I'll probably also add this bounce light on the armor down here, but I can't add the same color I did in the hair, right? This purplish, it looks blue, but it's actually like a desaturated purple. I can't add that to the armor because it doesn't look right. Like I said, I want it to be a blue color from the sky that's reflecting light onto the character's armor. And so I'm gonna grab a blue again, and you can use the airbrush, or I'm using my paintbrush, but you can just add this on top. It's gonna be a little bit brighter than that. And just a little taste of it. I don't want to add a really bright saturated blue like that. I just want to tap it, and then I want to grab that color that creates, and then that'll be my bounce light color. A little bit brighter than that for this side, but just it has to be subtle. I just want it to be subtle, nothing crazy, to blend into the armor. That's one thing I want to get better at, is like rendering armor. Well, first of all, drawing armor, but then also rendering it as well. And then that's pretty much it, right? It looks pretty good just from those little changes, adding some bounce light in areas. And I do the same thing with the cloak that he's wearing, with the bounce light in the shadow. This is the local color. This is the highlight of the cloak he's wearing. And then this is the shadow color. And inside the shadows is where I add my bounce light. And so you can see how I add this cooler, almost pink color to that's reflecting the skylight, or the blue sky. And so I'm just gonna start rendering this, and that's what I'm thinking about when I render this. And even on the skin here, I'm gonna add like a highlight, make it warmer, because the light that's being that's covering him is the sun. And so I would just grab a lighter color, change the hue to make it warmer for the sunlight, like that, and just make it, I can make it subtle, or I can make it even brighter, like that. Looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just add it right here as well. So that's pretty much it for this rendering process. As you can see, I definitely improved upon my design from 3 years ago, just based off the coloring process and rendering process. I've learned a lot, and like I said, just pinpoint what exactly you want to improve on when you're going to redraw something, and focus on those elements. Specifically for this piece, I not only wanted to redraw it, but I also wanted a character that I could implement to my own story. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to even draw it, and what made it fun for me to draw was me implementing this character into the story that I'm writing. His name is Asher. He's a character in the story that I'm writing, Omari of Starfall, and it was very fun to do. So if you have any questions, let me know. I can answer in the next video, but thanks for watching, and peace out.